Well, Teddy Nose gives him a crack, knocks Pete out one punch, and he stayed on the ground, Pete. Now, was he totally knocked out? I don't know, but he probably didn't want Teddy to beat him up anymore. They took a white chalk and did the outline like there was a dead body there. And they left it there for like, they left it there for like 2 or 3 weeks. Well, we Hey guys, welcome to the Goodfellow Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Barone. And before we get started, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. And of course, if you like it, give me the thumbs up. Also, you might want to check out the Patreon channel. We got this, some behind the scene things there that you might like and maybe get a couple of laughs out of. And I'm going to be posting a lot more of that too as I get going. So also, I'd like to thank Dominic Sicali, a very dear friend of mine, who was on the channel with me last week. I tell you the truth, everything we were said and done was all true. We also got back together after all these years, and I'll tell you right now, it really felt good to be with him again. We never really had a falling out, as we talked about, between us. Of course, I was working for the FBI, and he didn't know it. But still, let me tell you something. Being together with him, it almost feels like old times, but even better because we're not doing all that other stuff that we were doing out in the street. But he's a good man, and you can always check him out on the Mafia Roundtable. Excellent show. Of course, he has so many good things going on. He's got his EG vodka, which is really good. I tasted it. Oh, man. He's got books coming out. And matter of fact, you might want to read the book, having a shot of EG vodka. It'd be really good. Anyways, I just want to say, talk about a friend of mine, an old friend of mine. His name is Pete Savinello. He's from New Rochelle, New York. Oh, and before I even get into that anymore, I do have some wise guy stories, gangster stories that you might want to hear about, and I will tell some of them. I also have to be a little bit careful because even though they're old and stuff like that, sometimes the FBI, they're always looking to get me because I beat them at my trial, and of course they hate me. So I don't want to, I got to be careful of certain things that I say. But anyways, I will come up with some more stories. If you want to hear some tough guy stories, let me know. I do have a lot of those about time I collected money or other things I had to do. So we'll talk about those if you say, shout a comment in or anything like that, I'll take care of it. But I also like to thank all you guys for tuning in on the channel. It's very, very kind of you, and I really do appreciate it. So Pete Savinello kind of grew up with me. So he was close to me. Wasn't really much of a fighter or anything like that, but that's okay. I don't hang out with people because they can fight or they could do this or do that. Basically, if I like you, I like you, you know? And I'd rather, if you didn't know how to fight, if there was something that was going to happen, just get the car started. I'll fight, do what I got to do. At least I'm not looking for you behind me to see if you're going to come and help me or not. Or just get the car started. I'll get out of wherever we're going, and then we got to take off because I'm not looking for fame or fortune. Because every time I fight, basically, most of the time I get arrested. Anyways, when I decided to cooperate with the FBI, Pete came up to visit me at MCC. I let him know what I might be doing. The FBI told me not to, but that sounds good and everything, but I just didn't really want to rely on the FBI, so I thought that Pete would be my friend. And at least, God forbid, if anything happened to me while I was doing what I was doing, he would, expose the FBI for not watching my back the way they should. Or if, God forbid, I got killed, he knew the truth. You always want to have somebody know the real truth about your life. Especially my family, they didn't know. But anyways, he used to actually want me to set up people, friends of ours and stuff like that, if he didn't like them, and I didn't like that. He wanted me to set up this kid Anthony, his wife's brother-in-law, who passed away now, may he rest in peace, because he wanted me to get him away from his wife. And I didn't want to do that either. I'm not going to set the kid up. He wanted me to set him up with another girl, take some pictures, and then he was going to show his wife. That's.
Wow, that's dirty.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like set up to get robbed, not like set.
Oh, he also did that too. I'm going to get to that too. Yeah. He also his sister-in-law. Her name is Terry Ann. She's a sweetheart. Matter of fact, she's a gem. And if anybody was to be with her, they got a really good girl. Believe me. She's smart, sophisticated, makes money, and she wasn't like what you would call today a pig out in the street. And so is her sister as well. They also have another sister, an older sister, who is another gem in my book too. A really good, really nice girl, Debbie. What a lot of laughs. Anyways, I was never going to do that. Okay. Especially because Anthony was a friend of mine. I knew Anthony actually before he did. I know his wife before he did. But anyway, that was one thing that he wanted to do. The other thing he wanted me to do was to rob their family, his family. Supposedly they had $1 million or $700,000 in the house. Yeah, you don't even notice. And
wow.
I said, okay, yeah, and I yesed him to death. But what he did was I saw my friend Dominic at Omni Fitness, and him and Vinny Basciano, Vinny Gorgeous was in there. They were either playing a game of chess or something like that. He saw me. I came out. He came out to agree us. I introduced him to Pete. And this friggin' kid Pete says, "Did you tell him about that thing, Joe?"
Oh, jeez.
Now, why do you say that to somebody like that? Especially, I never said anything to Dominic. Well, lo and behold, I had to tell Dominic what happened and the whole 9 yards, but nothing really transpired from it as opposed to anything happening. But he didn't know how to conduct himself in front of wise guys.
Yeah, he's bringing suspicion to you, too. You were already cooperating at that point, right? Or
I
no?
was cooperating the whole time.
Yeah.
So, there was another friend of mine, Rob. He owns a body shop. I won't say his last name. He had some trouble with drugs or whatever the case may be. He wanted me to set this guy, Rob, up. And he was supposed to be his friend, too. They went hunting together. They did all this shit together. Not only did he want me to set the guy, Rob, up, Rob had a girlfriend. He's married now. I think he's got a kid. He's happy, and I'm happy for him, too. He's a good guy. He wanted me to fool around, sleep with his ex-girlfriend, some girl who broke his heart. I think the girl's name was Candace. Told me where she worked. He said, "Joe, you can go in there. You can do this. You can get her. I'm telling you, go with her. And then this way I could throw it in Rob's face." Now, that's not who I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like...
This is the kind of guy that Pete was. He also wanted to start a fight with I had a friend, Mike Donato. Mike Donato and I were very close. Bad things happened to us over the years, whatever the case may be. But he wanted to have a fight with Mike Donato and all this kind of stuff. So he told me to call Mike, tell him this and this and that, and I did. I said, "You sure?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." So I did. Well, what do you think happens? Mike says, "Okay, Joe, let's go meet at Iona College on the grass. You come with him." He says, "I'll take care of him." And when he hits the ground and everything, he says, "I won't do anything to him because you're there anyways." You know what I mean? I said, "Okay, Mike, I'll tell him. Thank you." So I called up Pete. Pete says, "Oh, no, I don't want to meet him." I said, "What are you talking about? I called the guy for you." "Yeah, this is what I did." And he says, "But what happens if I beat him up, Joe?" I went, Pete was a good wrestler in school. But Pete had what he thought was a beautiful face. He didn't ever want to get punched in the face. He's a guy who has what he used to tell all the girls back in the days. "I got jet black hair." He said green eyes, but they're really only blue. And he never really wanted to get in the face. And he was never going to beat Mike Donato up, number one. He might have grabbed Mike and tried to grab him, but if he had the chance. But listen, it would have never happened. Anyways, matter of fact, I'll show you how tough Pete really is. Well, Pete wound up seeing Mike Donato happened to see Pete in the street right near Mayflower Cleaners on North Avenue. And so Mike got out of the car and said, "You want to see me now? Let's talk." And Pete was running around the car. Matter of fact, this kid Junior was around, this kid Aurelio, a good friend of ours. he made fun. He was there, and he said, this was Pete running around the car. Mike chased him for a little bit, but he says, I'm not going to chase him. But what happened was, I didn't notice. Pete never told me this. So I'm home, and I get a phone call from Mike. I said, hey, Mike, I haven't talked to him in a while. I said, hey, Mike, what's going on? He goes, look, I just want to let you know something. I said, okay. He says, the police just came here. I said, what happened? I didn't know. I was like, he says, your friend Pete put an order of protection out against me. Now, Pete went to the police department to put an order of protection out against a guy he knows for years. And I said, Pete, what's wrong with you? And Mike made fun of me. He said, this is the guy you're hanging around with and everything like this? So I says, Pete, what's wrong with you? You know what, the kind of guy I am out here in the street, and this is what you do? You go to the police department? Now, another story. Teddy was a big guy in New Shell, tough kid. Nice kid. I got along with him great. Something happened between him and Pete, and he was in this shop, it was called A1 Auto or whatever it was on North Avenue. Well, Teddy gives him a crack, knocks Pete out one punch, and he stayed on the ground, Pete. Now, was he totally knocked out? I don't know, but he probably didn't want Teddy to beat him up anymore. They took a white chalk and did the outline like there was a dead body there. And they left it there for they left it there for like 2 or 3 weeks. Well, we used to go in there and go, oh, look, there was Pete over there.
How long was he knocked out for that they were able to do that?
Maybe a minute or so. It wasn't really that long, but they drew the chalk. Oh, my God, it was the funniest thing. Everybody went in there. It was funny as shit.
Wow.
Yeah, but you see, this is the kind of kid that Pete was. There was another one I wanted to remember before that one, too, what he did. It was another fight that he ran away from. He did something. I'll try to remember it. I had a couple of good stories with him. But the main thing is I'm telling you the story because, not to hurt Pete or get back at him or anything like that. We're not friends anymore. But you got to be careful who you trust. Man, listen, sugar and salt, they both look the same. You know what I mean? But here it was, I thought I had a friend. I got pinched on my second bid. He went around telling everybody I was a rat when it came out. But he went around telling everybody that in my brand new Escalade that he drove. He did other bad things to me in the long run, too. He just did a lot of bad things, and you got to be careful who you trust. Also, the real reason why I did that was because the FBI, I knew I couldn't really trust them 100%. You know, you think they're the good guys, and I've explained this to you many a time before. You just got to be careful out there. Even if you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, you know, if somebody trusts you, don't ever lie to them. That's just what you do. Never lie to somebody who trusts you. And I also have a lot of sayings. I'm going to bring them in one day. If you get,
Yeah.
I think it's a good day. They're little sayings that I got over the years. I think they hit home. I wrote them down because they hit home with me, and for whatever reason it may be. I also have a lot of poems I wrote when I was on my first bid. But I just want you guys out there to know, I really appreciate you guys watching this channel. I appreciate everything, like listening to me. And any comment you want to make, that's fine. If you need a story that I can tell you about, I will. I did have my share of fights. I did have my share of laughs. I did have my share of money. I've been broke a lot of times. But all I'm going to tell you on this channel, like my friend Dominic on his channel, is always the truth. I got nothing to hide. I got nothing to lie about. I have evidence to prove it. I got certain things that can back me up without getting so many people involved that I don't want to expose names about and stuff like that. But I just want to say today is just a day. I'm just relaxed. Unless you got some questions for me, that's fine.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you,
Okay.
why was it that you picked Pete to tell versus anybody else if you knew he was kind of like didn't know how to handle himself type of guy?
Well, that's the whole reason. That's actually a good question because he wasn't able to handle himself. He was the type of guy, you thought he was going to do the right thing because he was not because he was not a fighter, not a guy that would walk around pretending he was somebody he's not.
So it wasn't that he was untrustworthy. It's just more that he was like, kind of would embarrass himself at moments, but it wasn't that you couldn't trust him with information. That was not the case.
Well, how many people you think he was going to tell that I was working with inside the mafia, but yet I was working for the FBI too. The guy's scared of his own shadow. That's why he went around saying, "Oh, he's a rat," pretending like he didn't know nothing about me because he went around every show
Right.
telling everybody that he didn't know anything.
Right.
Of course not. He's not going to say that.
Yeah.
But I figured if God forbid it happened that I got killed or whatever the case may be, that he would have maybe went to the proper authorities somehow, some way, or some people in my family to try to help me or find out who killed me or whatever the case may be. So, you have to listen. There's a lot of secrets that are hard to keep. In this particular secret, I didn't want anybody in the world I was working in, to know, obviously for obvious reasons.
Right.
But you still got to let somebody know certain things about you. You really do.
Did you feel better after you told him?
A little bit, yeah, because I felt like something might happen. I mean, listen, I'm in a dangerous world. I'm with a lot of people who will kill you like this. I mean,
If not feel better personally about the situation, you'd feel better that at least if something happened, your affairs would be in order because he'd take care of you or whatever.
Well, yeah. And look, like I said, I didn't expect to get close to anybody in this world. If you listen to Dominic and even me, you're not the same. You're a cold-hearted person. You have to be. You have to be. You're not a human being. You got to do what you got to do. This is a. You're in the trenches. This is the rough world here. You know what I mean? And I wasn't even myself when I was in that world. I had to put on. I had to pretend I was this other whole guy. Even when I was alone, I had to still pretend like that. I couldn't even think like I was doing it. That's why I had nightmares then. I still have nightmares now. But Pete was afraid of a lot of different things, and I figured at least he would say, "Yeah, Joe did tell me," you know what I mean, and I didn't want to tell him because I was scared.
I understand now.
Yeah, and listen. Like I said, I didn't expect to get close to anybody, and anything that would have happened to me bad in the street, in a lot of people's minds, and even in my own to some degree, I don't want to hurt people I cared about, and I didn't really care about anybody in there except for my friend Dominic.
Right.
He was my guy, and that was it, and I got close to him, and there was a lot of things I didn't say about him because he was my guy. So I was torn between right, wrong, and what I grew up knowing my whole life. So
Did you have any other kind of people that you could call serious friends like that in the mafia? Like Dominic was sort of like your best friend. Was there anybody else that you kind of had a similar relationship with?
No, I could talk to Dominic about anything. And I mean anything from soup to nuts. It doesn't even have to be about wise guy shit. I could have talked to him about girls. I could have talked to him
He
about...
called you earlier and we were talking. You were talking about non-wise guy stuff.
Yeah, because Dominic's just a good person to know. He's a good friend. That's the bottom line. Not everybody can be a good friend. You know what I mean? If a good friend can know the pain behind your eyes while everybody else around you is believing the smiles on your face. That's a good friend.
Right.
And the bottom line is that's Dominic. He'll always know when something's off, just like I will know if something's off with him. I knew it in the street, just like he knew Vinny. Vinny could just act a certain way, walk a certain way, talk a certain way, and he would know exactly what he had to do because he knew that because Vinny was his guy.
Do you think that you were similarly groomed into the mafia life by Dominic as he was by Vinny Gorgeous?
Oh yeah, I had to learn a lot of things, and because Dominic was groomed a certain way by two different people. So, but definitely Vinny kind of polished him up a lot, and I learned from Dominic. Dominic was a whole different guy from when he started hanging around with Vinny before he started hanging around with Vinny. So he was more. I mean, he had a lot of class about him, a lot of,
Well, that's one thing I'll say is he's a classy guy for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure, he's got a way about him.
Yep.
Definitely. It was great meeting him. Can't wait to have him back on. Also.
Oh yeah. I can't wait to see him again. But I'm probably gonna go take a ride and see him too. And
Nice.
he's just a lot of fun. He's easy to be around him. In other words, he and I used to work out at this gym when I was around him a little bit, and. There was no challenges. I didn't challenge him if we fooled around. But he actually gave me good advice about working out. I was doing a leg press machine. I kept my legs too close, and he said, "You got to watch your hips if they're too close." And I didn't know that. I just thought because I wanted to get the out on my leg, and he knows how to work out. Look at him. He's a big dude. You know what I mean? He knows how to work out, and he was strong. And he didn't do those stupid drugs or anything like that. He was all natural. He's fortunate. He was strong. You know.
Going back to Peter Salvinello, was he the only one that knew that whole time that you were an undercover informant?
Him and my handler, and I don't know whoever else my handler might have told or had to tell the FBI.
Right.
I relied on Pete for a lot of things. Listen, Pete was there when my mom died, just like I was there when his father died. I mean, you form a bond. You know what I mean? I never thought he would betray me. He betrayed me with my fiance back in those days. He was nasty and mean to her. I told him, look out for her. She'll need your help. She'll need your advice. He did a lot of messed up things, especially when I went away. He had gotten mad at me because his wife was married once before him, and I knew her husband because we all went to the prom together.
Right.
Like I said, I know her before. And I told his next door neighbor, I said, yeah, I remember when she was married to her ex-husband. I forget why or whatever we were talking about. And he was like, why'd you say anything about she was married before? Well, she was married before. What did I say that was wrong? I didn't tell the secret that she did something and nobody knew about it but me. You know what I'm saying? What I expose?
Right.
She was married before. It was nothing. It's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Yeah.
Nothing to be ashamed of. A lot of people are out there like that. Nobody told me not to say anything. I mean, I told him, I says, I know his wife from before he did. I think it was something real along those conversations. I don't remember.
Right.
But, listen, New Rochelle's a small town. The Bronx is a small town. Brooklyn's a small town when you're in that kind of circle or whatever. This is the way it goes. Everybody knows that in their own town, no matter what town you're in, So, but I wanted to bring that up about Pete because I wanted everybody to know how it is. Be careful who you trust out there. It's funny how a friend could so quickly become a stranger. You know what I mean? You got to be careful.
Well, Dominic's advice in our last episode was don't call everybody your friend.
That's right, and he's 100% right.
Yeah, for sure.
And just like we said too, talk to everybody like they're wearing a wire. I mean, you got to be careful. And some people, Dominic even said, I never asked him any questions. I never did anything like that when I was around him.
Right.
If he wanted to tell me something, he told me something. If he did, he did. And I didn't ask. That's the way you do it.
So when was the last time you talked to Pete Salvinello?
I don't even think I talked to him the last time. I might have wrote him a letter. And that was it.
What did you say in the letter?
I was in prison and I was in the box.
So you're pissed.
Yeah.
There was some nasty stuff in that letter for sure.
Yeah. He just, I can't understand it with him. I don't know what makes him tick. He thinks he's got everything going. His mother-in-law just passed away some time ago. So I guess I don't know if he's inheriting money because his wife and everything like that. He did a lot of fucked up things to his wife. He called me one day. He said to me, he says, Joe, can I come over? I said, yeah, of course. So he came over. He says, can I sleep over here tonight? I said, what's the matter? Everything all right? He didn't tell me every little detail, but he said he had to punish his wife. So she didn't go to work that day. She was crying. I don't know. He's got a manipulator. He's a good manipulator. As a matter of fact,
he had to punish his wife. What did he put his hands on her or something?
No. He grabbed her maybe once or twice. I know that, but he also, I don't know exactly what it was. He probably wanted something or whatever, and he's a spoiled kid. His real father wasn't his real father, even though his real father was Sal DeRaffaele. That was his last name. Everybody knows them in New Rochelle, and but his mother was really beautiful when she was younger, so I don't blame Sal for making the move, but his mother wasn't the nicest lady as far as that was concerned. You know what I mean? She's been around a little bit too. You know what I mean? And
gotcha.
Yeah, his mother actually taught him how to handle girls, and he is smart when it comes to that. He actually taught me a lot of things about that himself. Yep. Yeah. So I've hung around with him. I've seen the ups and downs. And I thought I could. We were close. But he screwed me in so many words, He tried to anyway. It's like my friend, I had this guy, Sam Russo, out there. He screwed me over. I gave him a job at the diner with Joanne at that time. And he did do, for the most part, he saved her a lot of money, helped her out, but he made a lot of money too. And then he went with that guy, Buddy Torres. and his real name is Israel Torres. He hung around with the wise guys too. He thought he was a tough guy too, and yeah, maybe to some degree he was. But they all, I would have liked to fight him one-on-one. And let me see how really tough he is. Yeah, because he says he came to the diner with some big muscle guy one time. There was a little problem over there, and he thought who the hell he was. And the big guy was staring me down like this, and I was like, okay, what does that mean? You know, dude. I mean, he might have been able to fight. I really don't know, but he wasn't scaring me. I tried to talk to the guy, and then they went around telling everybody how they chased me out of the diner. First of all, they didn't chase me. I never was there. It was my girlfriend's diner at that time. But she got convinced to go with this dude. And then Sammy went against me after I got him all that money. He said I had no choice. But Sammy must have told him that you needed, how I really was, because he kind of knew. And he seen me. I did something. He was in the hospital saying about something, and I punched myself in the face so hard to show him that what kind of a punch I could take. I almost knocked myself out, actually.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and so and he's seen what I can do was as far as take the beating too, as well as not give it to him, and so he must have told Buddy, and that's why he brought the big guy up there, and they had an excuse to talk to me up there. So it was him, Buddy, and this other muscle-bound looking dude that was there, and I was the only guy at the table. And they were talking, yeah, I'm over here now, and all this bullshit. I was like, whatever. I never made no money from the diner. I don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if Joanne wanted to go with him, which whatever she did, go ahead. But Buddy, I would like to have fought one-on-one with him. Let me see what he really was. That muscle-bound guy, too. I'd like to see what he was about, win or lose. Mm-hmm. And definitely Sam. Sam is lucky I didn't have a fight with him, because when I came home on my second bid, I just won my trial. I didn't want to get in any trouble. I seen him, and he seen me through the corner of his eye, too. And he was like a little nervous, pretend like he didn't see me, but I would have wiped his short. Sammy I wouldn't say Sammy wasn't tough. I'm not going to say that. But Sammy, I would have duked him up in a heartbeat.
What was his last name, Sammy?
Russo.
Sammy Russo.
Sammy Russo. He was. I would have took Sammy. He had a nice family or whatever the case may be. He was good to me in a lot of ways, but I was very, very, very good to him. And he stabbed me in the back. And he didn't have to. So, but. You never know. Maybe I'll get the chance to run into one of these dudes one of these days. You never know.
Never know.
I go back and forth to New York, so, and I don't care about the reefer, because let me see them when the cops come, if they're there when the time happens, or who's going to really call the cops then. It won't be me. And even Pete too. Somebody said to me, why don't you give Pete a beating? But I already know I can, so why should I? Well, he's the type of, like, Pete grabbed me one time because he's strong. He's not a weakling. He was a wrestler. And he grabbed me one time. So I said, Pete, we're only fooling around. Do you really think I'm going to let you grab me in the street? And if you do grab me like that, don't you think I'm going to bite you? Because his face was like that. He grabbed me face like this. Now, he didn't grab me from behind. We were face to face. So what are you going to do? I would have bit him.
Where would you have bit him? His ear, or like a Mike Tyson?
Probably his nose.
His nose?
Yeah. Because this piece is his cause. I would have bit the nose if I would have tried to bite it off. Wow. If I was close to him this way and it was near his ear, then I would have bit his ear.
Right.
I don't care. Like, this guy, they don't realize... You're in the street. There's no referee in the street.
Right.
Okay, so, I talked about the time I took the beating from the guy, the kid Damon Romanello. Tough kid. He won the fight. No big deal. He beat me up. Like I said, I wasn't the toughest guy, but you're gonna have to just fight me. I'm not just gonna go lay down to you or back up just because you think you're tougher than me. I don't care. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but whatever. So I just wanted to get it out there today a little bit. And I wanted to thank all the viewers again for listening. And I'm going to keep trying to post as many as I can. If you want to hear a certain content about whatever, you can ask questions. I'm more than willing to answer anything you want. And I definitely got some more stories. I'm just careful how I put it out there, because you never know. These people are always after you. They never let you go, the FBI. You know what they stand for, forever bothering Italians. I think everybody knows that. But we're going to see what happens. Hopefully there's a lot of things that Dominic and I are doing, and I'm not going to jinx anything. So there's going to be a lot of wonderful things coming out on this channel, his channel, and other things.
As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video and you haven't already, please subscribe, click the like button, and the notification bell so you get notified when we release our next video. Go check out our Patreon if you want to see more of Joe behind the scenes. We got some videos of him playing some guitar on there. For those of you who don't know, Joe is very talented at guitar. He loves playing. He plays every time he comes over here to film a podcast. So, yeah, we appreciate it, guys, and take care. Bye-bye.